I'm Cody with It's Fancy Letterpress Studio. Today I'm going to be prepping some artwork that we're going to print on some linoleum blocks. Here's a small version of the poster that I'm going to go ahead and prep, and I will walk you through the steps that I take as I get a block ready to get inked, registered, and printed up. Hope you enjoy it. What I had to do is I went ahead and I did a hand separation where I went through and did it by hand instead of doing the rip separation that's allowed in Illustrator with certain laser printers. And so now I have a nice solid shape right here that's going to be yellow. Same with up here at the top. And I put a 0.3 outline around the tie just to fatten it up. So when we register the brown on top, it's going to go ahead and be underneath the black of the outline. The same thing with all the way around this banner. I went ahead and I did it right in the middle of my brown stroke. And so what it's going to do is it's going to allow it to, when I register it, the brown is going to overlap on the yellow, and that way we don't have little white spots on the inside from our registration issues. What you see before you is my large piece of linoleum. I'm going to go ahead and mark this at 18 inches, and then I'm going to give it a trim while I have a mat cutter, or while I have a cutting surface underneath of the linoleum. Alright, so just a quick measure, 18 inches. Again up here, 18 inches. This is a 3-color job, so we need 3 pieces of linoleum. I have 2 full sheets. I will be able to do another 2-color poster and then a single color poster, or I could do another full 3-color poster. So I'm going to move my cutting surface over to the edge so I don't drag it across my desk, but lining up my points that I just made. And then you just want to go ahead, you don't want to do it in one swoop, cutting all the way through your linoleum. But take a couple times to score the surface. Then if you want, basically flip it over. That scored surface is going to go ahead and crack all the way through. And at that point, you just take your knife and you run it through the backing. And now I've just cut down a large sheet into a sheet the size of my poster. Alright, welcome to my studio. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and take our linoleum, or we're going to get it liquid nails down to a piece of MDF. And so I'm going to go ahead and switch to my other camera so you can have an overhead view of me going and putting the liquid nails down. I'll show you how I use my press to actually get the linoleum to smooth out and get the adhesive underneath it to smooth out. Having a sign press with a nice large bed is a real benefit when you're mounting your own linoleum. Alright, we've now swapped to our overhead cam. This is what I use. I use a liquid nails. I use the project stuff. It's going to be plenty strong for what we're trying to do. I have my piece of MDF here. This piece is it came as a 4x8 sheet from Home Depot. I went ahead and I had them cut it down into as many 18 by 24 pieces as I possibly could. What they ended up doing, though, is I didn't measure this. So what it is about 24.5 by about 17 7/8. And so that does pose a slight problem. Well, it's about 25 because my linoleum is slightly over. It's about an 1/8 inch over 24. So because these are my 2 pieces for my poster that don't have the border that's going to run all the way around the edge, it's fine because most of the artwork is going to be centered in anyway. And so if I have just a little bit of edge that's hanging over, I could go ahead and deal with that. Which it looks like down here at the bottom, it just might be, nope, it looks like our linoleum is slightly under 18 inches too, from our second half of the piece that we just cut. So maybe I'll flip this. We just need to make sure that we have one side squared up, because that's what we're going to use to register the artwork. So that's how it's going to go down. It'll set down like this, which will be just fine for the purposes that we need. So I'm going to flip this up. We're going to get our liquid nails. Before we do that, I want to mark where the top of my linoleum is on my board. So run this through, put a quick mark. I just don't want to put glue over that spot, just for the fact that it's going to mush out anyway. So once I get the adhesive down, I'm going to take a palette knife and I'm going to smooth this out with a palette knife. To make sure that we don't have big lumps that are just going to smush out in one area and not have enough adhesive in others. Alright, so I may have used a little bit too much, but we shall see. Next step is to set the linoleum on top. Then I'm going to go ahead and roll over it with my actual press's roller, because this is a pretty low-tech press. And this little sign press basically set the side I wanted down there. I got my sides backwards. That's fine. We can do it this. I'm going to go ahead and adjust my roller height, and we still feel bumps in our linoleum after I pressed it down. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through and slowly move my roller height down towards the actual piece of linoleum, and we're going to squeeze some of this glue around so the linoleum wants to lay nice and flat. So I'm going to go ahead and check it, which it feels like right now there's no drag as I'm coming down this piece of linoleum. So I could adjust my knob, I'll lock it down. Now when I go over it, there's some slight pressure. And I'm going to slowly work my way up my linoleum block. I could actually hear the glue squeezing out air bubbles. I'll stop before I get to the end just in case it wants to squish out extra glue, which it looks like it wants to do. I'm going to scrape this glue so it doesn't end up being problematic and getting on my roller.